Wilson Morales, Black Film and TV, talking to Megan Suri regarding It Lives Inside. How are you?
Hi, Wilson. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Glad you're able to talk.
Yeah.
So like people will know what that means when they hear it. But obviously, with the stuff that comes out there, what went into saying yes to taking on this project?
Oh, this was so easy for me, Wilson. I'm a huge horror fan, so I've for as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to do horror. So this was a no-brainer when it came around, but it just so happened to be that Bishal was our writer and director. When I was able to meet with him via Zoom, it just blew me away how intelligent and how well thought out and particular he was about the script. And when I was able to read the script, the complexities and the different intricacies and layers that were in each of these characters was something that as an actor I was super excited about. But from just a purely fan basis, I was like, this is a horror movie. It's the people from Get Out, it's Neon, it's now Bishal, this awesome new upcoming director. I'm in if you'll have me.
So, having said you've been a fan of these horror movies, so had you practiced your scare moments prior to reading it on the script? Because everybody knows, oh, I want to be in a horror film, and then we always talk about like how you're gonna go out. Like you're gonna be one of those people running, and there's something behind you.
Yeah, well, if there's something behind me, I'm gonna keep running. I'm never like, listen, this is a little selfish, but I'm definitely survival of the fittest. Like, if you fall, that was your destiny. You know
You
what I
gotta
mean?
go.
It doesn't have to be my destiny. It can be your destiny, but I gotta go. Um, as far as practicing my scares, yeah, I'm definitely delusional, and I'm always constantly practicing those. So that was really fun to like do it for real and have an actual camera in front of me this time instead of just me in my room being a weirdo.
So how else would you describe the character you're playing and how you wanted to play it that's different from the script? There's what the script holds, and then I'm sure every actor wants to add a little something to it as opposed to just playing it page by page.
Absolutely. So what was interesting about this was that Bishal and it was one of the first projects I've worked on where it really felt like a very detailed collaborative process. So when I officially booked the role, we had extensive conversations about who Sam was and who Smita was and what personal experiences I could bring from it. And even though Bishal had already written an incredibly well-rounded out character, he always encouraged me to bring any personal experiences I had. And so we had those in-depth conversations. And I think that by the time that we got to set, we both knew from a sort of cellular level who this character was, and everything from that point on just became what we had worked on for those weeks leading up to it.
Mhm. And then obviously, I always think when you're doing a movie like this and Bishop's writing and directing it, and he's injecting a little bit of the culture in it, you know, how real or fake is it that when somebody watches and they're like, okay, this is totally made up, or it's like, oh, I can see this happening.
Well, that's the beauty about culture in general, but in specifically pertaining to Indian culture, it's so diverse that there is no monolithic way to describe it. I think that there will be some people who definitely resonate with it and will remember stories of the Pashash that they were once told, and there will be some people who will be like, well, that was different, and that's sort of the beauty of cinema in general, right? Is that it's so subjective. So I think that Bishal did his best to take these stories that he heard as a child and he tried to make it into something that you
Mhm.
know related these characters and these horror elements, and I hope that that resonates with audiences.
You've worked on different projects. Here, you're the lead. Obviously, more pages for you. How was that feeling? Especially, you don't do as many films as opposed to TV. For you coming on, having to carry the bulk of the work, even though you have other co-stars doing their fair share as well.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think that as actors there's always that, we all want to be in a lead role, but then you get to set and you're very quickly met with the reality of what that takes and what's required as you not just even showing up to set and knowing your lines, but I think just even the aura and the energy that you're lending to the set and to your fellow crew members. So there is a lot of pressure, but with something like this where I did feel incredibly supported by my incredibly talented cast and my director who I believed in and who believed in me, it made that process a lot more swifter and a lot more comfortable. But I don't know, man. I'm sweating bricks right now. I can't believe this movie's going to be out in like 3 days. So I might be in a hiding later tonight. But so far, it's been a journey for sure.
Having worked with Michelle, who's basically the writer director, what part of your skill set you think improved after you did this movie that you can take on to whatever project you do next?
Oh wow. I mean, I'd like to think honestly every part of myself as an actor, the way that I approach the work, the work the quality of the work that I want to bring, the quality of people that I want to work with, the every aspect of it. Bishal is truly one of those great directors, in my personal experience, that really elevated not just my work on set, but really motivated me to approach the work in a completely different way. I think he's incredible, and I'm so grateful that I got to work with him. Hopefully we get to work together more in the future.
Now you can't control what people want to see, but you can decide, how people want to see it. We have a glut of product that's out there now. Movies, stuff that's on streaming shows, cable networks, whatever. What's gonna to sell to see? Horror's doing well to see in theaters, so that's
Pretty
one angle of it. So is there another angle as to why people should go see it besides the horror element? You're the lead in it. They know you from your previous work. Anything else you can add to it?
I mean, I think really what's most important is the revival of watching projects in the theater. I think that there's no experience like it. I think that um it's just not the same. There's the energy, what you get out of it, the experience of just getting out of your home and going and watching it. That's another reason to watch it. And also during these troubling times as an actor, as a writer, we're striking. I think it's imperative and also really beautiful to support production companies like Neon that are doing the right thing and it's sending the right message, and a really important one at that. So those would be the things that I would add. But other than that, I mean, who doesn't want to watch a scary movie right before Halloween or before spooky season? Like, it's the time.
Yeah, we won't go into anything in the past, but obviously now that we're seeing you on the big screen, what else would you like to do? What other genres tickle your fancy?
I think what excites me as an actor is I don't necessarily want to like box myself into any particular genre, but I'm honestly just excited to work with really good scripts and really good people and really interesting characters, and whatever genre that falls into, I'm open to it. But I want to keep exploring and keep hopefully doing as many genres as I possibly can. Yeah.
And before I let you go, obviously, you mentioned you like Tara, Betty Gabriel. You're working opposite her. I'm sure you've had conversations with the stuff she's done in the past.
Oh, absolutely. I totally fangirled when Bishal told me that Betty Gabriel agreed to do this movie. I had a full moment of like, I'm so excited to work with her, but also I'm terrified because how do you act in front of someone that talented and not get nervous? It was a whole thing, but she's great. She's lovely. She's come over to my house. I've made dinner for her, vice versa. We're pals now. I get to say I'm friends with Betty Gabriel. Like, I'm living on on cloud nine right now.
That's pretty good. Well, I want to say congrats. Obviously, the movie's coming out in 3 days. People will get to see you on the big screen. For those who haven't seen you on other projects, it's a new face that we now know of. So congrats on this. I'm sure we'll see you down the road in other projects, big or small. We'll make it happen. So take care of yourself wherever you're at. Stay safe.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Wilson Morales from Black Film TV talking to Betty Gabriel on her new film, It Lives Inside. How's it going?
Good to see you again.
Yes, obviously, when it comes to horror films, you're no stranger. So I'm sure you get a lot of offers. I'm throwing it out there. What goes into saying yes to this one?
I mean, you'd be surprised I don't get too many offers.
Too many better than none.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. I mean, I said yes to this because I was really intrigued by the real foundation of the cultural aspect of it with the mythology, the Hindu mythology. And I said yes because Sean, I really like Sean McKittrick and Ray of QC Entertainment. I've worked with them before, and they're just really great guys. So yeah, I was really excited to work with them again. So
do you read? I always ask this to all Black talent when it comes to horror films. Do you read the script and see where you at with the page, and if you make it to the end? Like, don't be that person.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do sort of impatiently wait for when I'm no. I mean, yeah, I get why people might do that. Yes.
You would be the perfect setup too. Like, oh, Betty's in it. I'm watching it. Then we watch the movie. And you're like, what? No.
Yes, yes. Without doing any spoilers, I did have that in mind. But I mean, it's honestly such a beautiful story, and one I've never seen. So I was just so happy to jump on board. Yeah.
So talking about the character Joyce, what goes into how would you describe her traits?
Very compassionate, very accessible, approachable. Um, Really, I mean, she's kind of like this very fictional teacher. Although she reminds me of one teacher I've had, but like most teachers, you kind of wonder if they care. And maybe she has that quality too, because it's a thankless job, let's face it, and it doesn't pay nearly as much as it should. So yeah, I mean, what was the question?
Yeah, you're funny. It's funny. People always say teachers don't get paid as much. It's like, really, people don't go into teaching thinking they're going to make $80,000. That's not why you go into it. Eventually, if you put in 10 years, you're like, I should be getting paid more money. But
Give it
initially,
back. What's that?
but initially, you walk in there, goes, I want to teach the kids. I want to give back.
Yeah. It's an act of service as
you
a
know,
career, but it's a
so
very important job. So I think it's
you're
great.
working with Bishal, who wrote and directed this. Obviously, you've done your share of films and TV projects. What did you learn from him on this particular project that's different from what you learned on others that you can probably take on to whatever project you do next?
I mean, he's so excited about what he gets to do, and I I'm hoping to like increase that in myself. And then that's not to say that I'm not, but he's got a lot of excitement, and he sort of geeks out a little bit with horror.
Hey,
And it's just like fun to be around. Yeah, I mean, I don't geek out when it comes to horror, but I appreciate that he does.
because you've done your share already. You've been there. It's like I think when you do that, when you do these movies, to even tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna go in there with a different facial expression, like do you know what I'm saying? I can see people taking images of your other past films that goes, she looks the same as she did this, or here's a new take.
I mean, I do like to stretch and play a little bit, especially when I am not playing a sort of like professional character, meaning like it's really just like about the job that she's doing, you
Mhm.
know, which is sort of true, but I don't know. This feels very unique, this project, and yeah, I don't know. I do try to keep myself um from getting bored. That might require that I do, some sort of like outside mask work, which is what you did. And that's like very much a real that was part of my training. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like I said, we've seen you in enough projects where like, there are other actors where they're known for like, oh, they're gonna cry again, or they're gonna do this. He's like, no,
oh,
like, but there are people who we joke around off record and be like, oh, they're the crier in their movies. Oh no, they're gonna make it out. Oh, look for the expression. When it comes to Sam Jackson, what kind of hairstyle is he gonna be? It's like, oh, we that's good because that tells you you have a fan base that that knows your work. That's always a good thing.
yeah,
So,
take
so
it.
so what goes into saying to the process you take in general? Obviously, we are able to see you on the big screen. We're able to see you on the small screen. Obviously, that's a credit to your talent that you can do anything. So, what goes into saying yes?
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's a very strange journey, this this life and this career path, and I'm fortunate to be able to call myself a working actor. I can live off of my work, and that's a blessing, and not too many people can say that. So I honor that, acknowledge that, and say that sometimes it's just right time, right offer, right this or that, and me just kind of going, yes, let's go. I need to work.
Hey, at the end of the day, we got to be real. It's like, hey, got a bills to pay, got a rent to pay.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind traveling. You know, so you know,
Right. Yeah. But a lot of the times, I think a lot of the projects that I've gotten the opportunity to audition for or have just been given, which is like still blows my mind sometimes that happens. There's always something that makes me go, ooh, like I would love to work with that person, or ooh, I would love to play this character, you know, and hopefully there's several of those ooh moments because then it's just becomes a no-brainer. Like it's like, ooh, yes. Nice thing.
you're working opposite Megan. And when I spoke to her, she was like, I'm working with, you know, when I asked about working with you, she was like, yeah, you know, she's had her share of work and she didn't want to geek out, you know, because she's obviously, you know, it's like you've had your share of horror films, you know, and now she's in one, you know,
Yeah.
so what was that dynamic like? Because there aren't that many people in this movie.
Yes, this is true. You mean like what was it like on
Well,
set?
yeah, yeah, just the dynamic working with her, or any of the co-stars in this movie, but most of your scenes are with her.
Yes, yes. Most of the time I'm with her. Well, the first day, I think I was with all of, or a lot of, yep, no, all of the kids, the kids. And that was, I mean, it was like such a breath of fresh air. I mean, there is just really is something to be said about the young. And as far as Megan goes, I mean, she's just the sweetest person, and she's really, she gave me a lot of shine, and I was like, thank you. You know, you just can never tell like who's going to be a fan or who's just going to be like, oh yeah, I saw that one movie. But yeah, she was just like really, really kind and respectful. It sounds like a strange word, but yeah, she's lovely, and she works really hard, and she's just got a lot of, not unlike Bishal, like a lot of like get up and go energy. I don't know how else to put that.
Hey, these days when you're going to work, as anybody going to work these days, they're like, you got to have that attitude. Like, hey, let's get going. You know, otherwise we're
Yeah,
home sitting down on the bench, you know, on the couch.
yeah. I'm like,
So
that's
so
great.
that's good. You know, so like horror film seems to be doing well in theaters. You know, you've had a few films out there that have done better than others. But at the same time, there's still a glut of product that's out there. It doesn't have to be horror, but you know, was it streaming in the theaters or on TV, whatever, you know, what would it take for people to go check this out? Obviously, there's the genre itself that has its audience. There's Megan that, you know, people have seen her projects. They say your name, like, oh, okay, I want to see it because I know what she's going to bring to the table. Is there anything else besides what I said that will get people to see this movie?
I think it's a really personal story that is something that it's a story that we don't see all the time, and it's got this beautiful, horrifying, what's the word? What is this word? This this
I'm a horrible at Password Plus, you know.
I used to be a dancer, so I'm just like very movement communicative. But it's got this sort of, it's shrouded in, that's the word, shrouded
Okay.
in this very ancient, real mythology that, you know, has roots, and that I think that's such a wonderful foundation for a story and for a horror story. I mean, I can't believe this hasn't been done before. Like, of course, there's just like so much great source material, in particularly Hindu religion. So I just think that's definitely all the reason you need.
Do you believe in that stuff? Obviously, even though this is a movie, do you believe in any of that stuff like religion or superstitious stuff?
I'm gonna say yeah. Maybe not so literally as it's laid out, but I I do feel like there are energies and entities just kind of like floating around, and I think we've all experienced this when we get really sad and we get really depressed, or just angry, there is something that it has the danger of potential of exponentially growing.
Mm.
And I mean, it takes, I think, a lot of light and love and positivity from yourself or from others to really pull you out of it. Sometimes it can really just take you all the way down. So yeah.
In the meantime, this movie is coming out this week. Congratulations on the movie coming out, project, in which you're able to talk about it. I know it's
Yeah.
not easy for everybody, but hey, we're
No.
always a bit of support, so keep it going. Let's see what you do next, because we'll be there. Whether it's big or small, we're there. We're fans.
Thank you, Wilson. I appreciate that.
Have a good one.
You too.